Picture this, you just spent hours building a beautiful wooden shed or storage area. Stacked it with tools and now it's time to stash that precious wood supply. But here's the thing. Without the right protection, rain, snow, and even harsh sunlight can ruin your wood. Now what if I told you there's a super simple, cost-effective way to keep all that dry and protected? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build a wooden shed awning cover, perfect for storing your wood in a clean, dry environment while keeping it close by for easy access. Whether you're an avid DIYer or just someone who needs an efficient storage solution, this is the ultimate upgrade for your shed. Stay tuned. I decided I don't like this on the outside. We're going to put them on the inside of the frame to make it look like a window. I'm going to take all these down, but I'm going to mark them up so we can cut them in. Before we dive into this build, let's talk about why an awning cover is such a smart investment for your shed. Here's the deal, leaving wood exposed to the elements can quickly turn a perfectly usable piece of lumber into something that's cracked, warped, and completely unusable. Rainwater, even in the smallest amount, seeps into the fibers of the wood, causing it to swell and eventually crack. The sun is no better. Constant exposure can dry out the wood too much, leading to splits and reduced structural integrity. Now I'm not saying you need to go full scale on some massive roof system, but that's where that awning comes in. It's the perfect balance between functionality and practicality. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. A well-designed wooden shed awning provides that extra bit of coverage you need to keep your wood dry, all while still allowing airflow to prevent moisture buildup. It's perfect solution for anyone who wants a low cost but highly effective way to protect their wood pile. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the planning out of your awning cover. Whether you're adding it to an existing shed or building it as part of a new structure, planning is key. First, you'll want to consider a few basic elements: size, material, and positioning. Start by deciding how much wood or equipment you'll need to cover. Is this awning just a small pile of lumber, or are you looking to store a lot of reclaimed wood? This will determine the size of the awning. For most DIYers, I'd recommend going with at least a 6-foot overhang to provide adequate coverage. If you live in an area with heavy rain or snowfall, you might want to extend that even further, up to 8 or 10 feet. Next up is the material. Since we're building a wooden shed awning, the framework should be made out of a durable timber. Cedar or treated lumber works great here because both are naturally resistant to rot and decay, which is crucial for your outdoor builds. For the covering material, you have a few options. You can use wood slats for a more rustic look, or go with a corrugated metal or polycarbonate roof to really keep that water out. The latter options are excellent for preventing water pooling and ensuring any rain runs off easily. Lastly, think about the positioning of your awning. Ideally, you want it sloping away from your shed to direct the water flow down and away from your wood. A slight angle of about 10 to 15 degrees works well. Plus, this will give your shed an architectural edge and ensure that the awning lasts long term. Now, before we jump into the actual build, let's make sure we've got all the materials and tools we need. It's always better to have everything on hand, rather than stopping halfway through to grab something you forgot. Here's what you'll need. Timber for the framework. Like I mentioned earlier, cedar or treated wood is perfect for outdoor use. Roofing material. Corrugated metal, polycarbonate, or even treated wood planks, depending on your preference. Galvanized screws. To hold everything together, galvanized is more important for weather resistance. Brackets and joist hangers. These are going to help secure the awning framework to your shed. Concrete footings or post anchors. If your design requires support posts, this will keep your awning stable and secure. Level, tape measure, and square. Essential for keeping everything straight and true. circular saw or miter saw for cutting your timber to length. Drill with appropriate bits to drive in screws and secure the brackets. And yes, of course, don't forget some safety gear, gloves, safety glasses, and maybe some ear protection if you're cutting through metal roofing. Now, let's talk about getting that framework built. This is the backbone of your awning, so it's important to get it right. We're essentially building a simple frame that will slope down from your shed, creating that rain-proof cover. Mark your post locations. If you're using support posts for a freestanding awning, you'll want to start by making out where those will go. Measure from the shed to the edge of where you want the awning to end. Ensure your posts are evenly spaced. Install the ledger board. This is the horizontal beam that will run along the top of your shed. Supporting the rafters, attach the ledger board directly to the side of the shed, using lag screws or bolts to make sure it's secure. Use a level here to make sure it is perfectly straight. Attach the rafters. Your rafters will run from the ledger board down to the outer post. Cut them to size, ensuring they have the proper angle to create a slight slope. Space your rafters about 16 inches apart, just like you would with a roofing frame. Install the support posts. For the posts, you'll want to dig holes and secure them in concrete footings. Make sure they are perfectly vertical. If you want a quicker option, you can use post anchors, which bolts directly into a concrete pad or surface. Now that your framework is solid, it is time to cover it up and add those finishing touches. If you're using corrugated metal or polycarbonate, this is where things get super easy. These materials are designed to overlap, so naturally direct water away from the wood underneath. Installing the roofing material. Start from the bottom and work your way up the slope. If you're using corrugated metal, attach each panel to the rafters with roofing screws. Make sure they overlap by a couple of inches to ensure proper drainage. If you're using polycarbonate sheets, it is the same process. Just be careful not to over tighten the screws, which can crack the material. Adding a drip edge or guttering. This is totally optional, but if you want to go the extra mile, adding a small gutter or drip edge will help channel water away from your wood pile even more effectively. Just attach the guttering along the bottom edge of the awning and run a downspout to divert water away from the area. I've been using this wooden awning cover for my shed for a while now, and I have to say, it's been an absolute game changer for how I store my wood. Before I built this, I was constantly battling the elements. I used to rely on tarps to cover my wood pile. But let's be honest, tarps are far from perfect. They sag, collect rainwater in the middle, and eventually tear after being exposed to wind and weather. And don't even get me started on the hassle of uncovering and covering them every time I needed a piece of wood for a project. Definitely not fun. But since I installed this awning cover, all of those problems disappeared. My wood stays perfectly dry, and even better, it is super easy to access. I don't have to worry about an awkward pulling a tarp off a pile or deal with puddles forming in the middle of my wood stack anymore. Everything stays neatly in place, protected from rain, snow, and even the harsh sunlight we get during the summer. Plus, this awning has held up incredibly well even during some pretty intense storms. Now let me talk about the time we had a major windstorm blow through. I was a little bit worried about the awning holding up. I mean, we're talking about 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts. But thanks to the sturdy framework in the sloped roof design, the wind just passed right over it. No damage, no problem. And that's because we made sure to secure everything properly during the build, especially those support posts. If you're working in an area that gets strong winds like mine, I highly recommend using concrete footings for the post. It gives the structure the extra bit of stability, and it keeps your awning from shifting or moving during heavy storms. So here's a pro tip. If you're concerned about wind or even snow load, consider adding diagonal bracing to your frame. This is an easy addition that can drastically increase the strength of the awning, especially helpful if you live in an area with heavy snowfall, because let's be real, snow can get heavy. The bracing will prevent your rafters from sagging under the weight of all that snow. Another thing I love about this awning is that it gives my shed an entirely new look. Not only its functionality, but it also adds some character to my outdoor space. A lot of people think that the awnings are just about utility, but if you put some thought into the design, like choosing the right wood or roofing material, it can actually enhance the aesthetics of your shed and yard. I went with a natural cedar for the frame, which not only looks great but also holds up very well in wet weather. Over time, it develops this beautiful patina that gives the whole structure a really rustic, handcrafted feel. And finally, I want to touch on the overall time and effort for this project saved me. Before the awning, I'd spend at least 20 minutes every time it rained, running out to throw a tarp over the pile, adjusting it so it won't blow away and hoping for the best. Now I don't even think about it. The wood is always protected no matter the weather. I can focus on what really matters, working on my next project. So, if you've been considering adding an awning cover to your shed, take it from me, it's worth every bit of effort. It saves you time, keeps your materials safe, and just makes life all around easier. Plus, there's something incredibly satisfying about walking outside after a downpour and knowing that all your wood is dry and ready to go. You'll thank yourself every time you start a new project.
Alright, SteelKnights, check it out. It's Dom here. We finally got this awning cover officially done. There will be one addition, and that's doors later on, but not right now. I got to get the inside finished so I can start building this CNC plasma table slash milling table slash welding table, 3-in-1 combo. Anyways, if you guys like this build series, please leave a thumbs up, hit that comment section, and please hit that follow button. That helps me out. That helps the algorithm out. And most of all, I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I certainly did. And it was probably one of the best things I have done in a long time, other than welding, because that's what I'm a profession at, a welder. This would have been easy if I would have did it the welding way, but I didn't want it metal. I wanted wood. I wanted to try my hands at something different, and that's what I did. SteelKnight out, baby.